Rome was a city made of blood, politics, and spectacle. The streets were loud with hunger and corruption. The Senate was a theatre of ambition, and the Colosseum echoed with the roar of thousands demanding blood. Somewhere between that chaos lived Marcus Valerius, an ordinary Roman soldier, tired of orders, tired of bowing to generals. During a campaign on the harsh Thracian frontier, Marcus dropped his helmet, abandoned his legion, and simply ran. To the army, he became a traitor. To himself, perhaps for the first time, he felt a taste of rebellion, of choosing. But freedom didn't welcome him. Bandits captured him and sold him to a gladiator school, where muscle and broken spirits were molded into entertainers for Rome's insatiable crowds. Marcus saw horror and philosophy living side by side in those walls. Young men shackled, old warriors laughing at death, fire in every bruise. One Gaul roared, "In the arena, death is freedom." An elder murmured, "The truest war is not with swords, but with yourself." Marcus himself was shackled, trained, and thrown into the Colosseum as Rome's newest spectacle. The traitor soldier. The first time he fought, he trembled. He had killed before as a soldier, but this was different. This wasn't for orders or for Rome. This was survival, for the amusement of a bloodthirsty crowd. He cut his opponent down and stood victorious. But the cheers around him felt like chains, not triumph. Every scream of the mob reminded him, here, he was no freer than he had been in the army. Crassus, the lanista who owned the gladiators, used Marcus brilliantly. The people loved watching a soldier who had defied Rome, reduced to fighting for their entertainment. Yet in those fights, in those nightly murmurs among the chained, Marcus began to become more than a pawn. Gladiators whispered his name, sometimes not as a person, but as an idea. If one man could throw away his orders, maybe so could they. The Senate grew uneasy. Marcus, a mere runaway soldier, was becoming a symbol. He represented something dangerous, the possibility of saying no. Rome's empire thrived on obedience and fear. If a simple man could defy both, what might others do? All the while, Marcus searched his own soul. In his sleepless hours, he asked, what is freedom? Was he freer when he fled the army? Or here, fighting and bleeding for the mob's cheers? The elder in the gladiator school gave him a riddle. Son, you are chained whether in the army or in the arena. The question is, whose prisoner do you choose to be? The Colosseum gave him his answer one day. Matched against a feared gladiator in a fight meant to decide his fate, Marcus fought fiercely, blow against blow, until the crowd howled for the kill. He raised his sword for the final strike and lowered it. The arena fell into stunned silence. Marcus shouted, "I will be no one's slave, not Rome's, not yours. I live by my choice. And I will die by my choice." The crowd split into chaos, insults, cheers, tears. His opponent saluted him. In that silence, Marcus became more than a gladiator. He became a mirror. The people began to whisper, each to themselves, who am I chained to? Rome, fear, or the weight of my own silence? From then on, Marcus's existence became perilous. Crassus feared losing his prized fighter to philosophy. Gladiators looked at him as proof of another way. And in the Senate, powerful men debated whether to erase him, quietly before his defiance spread further. But the legend only grew. When Marcus was finally thrown into the Colosseum again, this time against his former commander, the man who had once branded him a traitor, something larger than a duel unfolded. Every clash of their swords carried 10 years of obedience and betrayal. The commander snarled, "You betrayed me!" Marcus moved with calm and answered through every stroke, "No, I betrayed slavery. I betrayed fear. I chose myself." At the climax, the commander stumbled. The crowd thundered, "Kill him!" Marcus lifted his sword and once again refused the crowd's thirst. He stepped back and declared, loudly enough to shake the marble seats, "Call me a traitor if you wish. Yes, I betray your empire, your corruption, and your hunger for chains. I am guilty of only this, choosing freedom over fear." Those words clung to the walls of the Colosseum. Some people cheered wildly, some trembled at their own hidden desires, and others fell into anxious silence, afraid of what ideas like this could unleash. The commander lived, but Marcus's defiance struck deeper than any blade. His voice became a contagion. Gladiators murmured, "Freedom is not in killing. Freedom is in choosing." In marketplaces, common folk whispered his name. In the Senate, fear dripped like sweat. The empire could endure swords, but could it survive thought? Marcus, once just a deserter, had become something else entirely. He was no longer fighting men in the sand. He was fighting the very idea of submission, and that terrified Rome more than 1,000 rebellions ever could. For some, he was still just a traitor. For others, he had become fire. Yet no matter what title was carved onto him, one truth remained. Marcus had shown them that the heaviest chains were not made of iron, but of silence. And by breaking that, he had become freer than any emperor sitting on a throne.